Okay, but the real stars of the panel are coming now. And first, I would like to introduce a legend in what I consider an inspiration for the wellness industry worldwide, not just local. She's the chairman and founder of ESPA, Sue Harmsworth. Please join me. Followed by another extraordinary legend in our market in Middle East and Africa, a lady that knows certainly a lot about the spa, and don't need further introduction, Sharon Barcock, Director of Spa and Fitness, Operation and Development, Hilton Hotels.
Thank you.
Last but not least, our Greek friend from Saudi Arabia, Panos, Bonoutas, Corporate Director of Development, Hospitality Division, Khozama. Okay, after an initial pressure time introducing three very high-profile candidates, I just want to start with some three highlights. Again, magic number seems to be 3. And on the wellness industry. Number one, we sit in a region that by 2025 will have 275 million inhabitants. So a very large audience, a catchment audience, an audience with high disposable income. But at the same time, an audience which, according to the latest healthcare statistics, have a group of issues that are growing more and more, particularly among the young population, which is obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular problems. And wellness is definitely the key solutions for a more lifestyle balance. Last but not least, from a technical point of view, the rise of mixed-use developments everywhere, rather than the standalone assets, have made developers understand the spa is part of lifestyle and add value and premium to asset classes. So spa become a fundamental asset. Having said that, I would like to hear from Sue, what is the latest trends in the wellness business worldwide and the spa industry? Please, Sue.
Thank you, Filippo. Trends in wellness are going to be quite difficult to define. So I would like to start by saying that I think the main trend for the next 10 years is actually going to be defining what wellness is. I'm 45 years in this industry, and I started my life in real wellness, as in the health farms of the 1970s and 80s in Europe. The biggest problem I have, and I spend probably 2 days a week speaking to owners. We have 600 spas in 60 countries, mostly at the top end of the market. And of course, the word wellness has suddenly become the word that is on everybody's lips. I think the biggest problem we have to ask is, number one, is wellness just a new word for spa? Is wellness about lifestyle and well-being, or is it more serious than that? And how does it fit with luxury? I'm honored this year to be chair of the Global Wellness Summit, which is being held in Europe for the first time in a while, and we're debating those things. So as far as I'm concerned, when we're talking about luxury hotels, luxury resorts, and destination spas, in that terminology, we're talking more about well-being. Wellness is a word that means different things in different cultures. In the Germanic-speaking countries, wellness is quite a medical term. So, you know, when you talk about the clinics in Austria, Switzerland, and Germany, places like Lanzerhof, Viva Maya, where a lot of the people from this region go, really because they have a need, and usually a medical need or a psychological need. They're very busy, but they are led completely by doctors. And to be honest, in my experience, and this goes back a long way, even to the days when I was running health farms, and we had to really reposition the market, we found that people who had medical needs or medical problems didn't want to be with healthy young people, and vice versa. So if you're on holiday and you're relaxing, we're finding worldwide in spas and wellness, stress is still the number one problem, whether it's psychological stress or whether it's physical stress. So personally, what I'm doing is I'm trying to divide it out for our owners, and I'm talking about projects that are often billions, never mind millions. And to me, there's lifestyle wellness, and I prefer the word well-being, and in fact at the Global Wellness Summit we're going to be debating that, and I think well-being will be a word you're going to see more and more. And well-being is going to be more about addressing lifestyle issues, and the lifestyle issues we're seeing very predominantly at the moment are obviously weight loss and obesity in this region, yes, diabetes. And diabetes you can almost put into two camps. You can put it into the well-being camp because it's a lot to do with lifestyle, and then obviously it becomes progressively more medically important. So if we talk about well-being, which I think is more relevant to this audience, we're talking more about sleep deprivation. We're seeing real problems with sleep deprivation among all age groups. I have 4 grandsons ranging from 19 down to 12, all on their appliances all the time. We're seeing I'm seeing data coming through from Chinese medics on how the brain waves are being changed in teenagers because of overuse of technology. We're seeing, I don't mean insomnia. Insomnia is psychological, that's very difficult to cure. But sleep deprivation is when you can't sleep consistently, you're keeping your technology in your room. So that's what I call lifestyle. So we can address that in spas, in luxury resorts, in luxury hotels. Cancer is a major issue, and historically our industry hasn't been good because doctors have said, well, you can't touch the lymph, you can't touch people with cancer. Well, now we've found that whole knowledge is reversed. So we're doing treatments for people who are either going through chemotherapy. We've got a nurture and support program which we're rolling out. They're saying that anybody born after 1960 of that age group, 50% are going to be touched by cancer. So we feel we need to address that, and I think we can also do that in the luxury hotel and resort industry. Nutrition is obviously enormous. We're seeing a huge growth in personal training. I think that's to do with the aging population as well, because certainly for myself, I need a really good personal trainer. If I get a young 25-year-old, I can't move afterwards. So personal training, medical massage, much more advanced treatments. And what I think is relevant to this market, and please take it with a pinch of salt, is historically we've used a lot of low-cost labor in this area. We've done the training and we've taken people who maybe aren't as qualified as they maybe should be, and we've developed them and we've trained them. I think that era is coming to an end. I think we'll be able to mix our labor force, but when you're talking about the experts for lifestyle, and tell me if I need to stop, such as acupuncture, nutritionists, naturopaths, chiropractors, osteopaths, you're talking much higher salary levels. B, you're talking much higher expertise and qualifications. And even with our therapists now, we're finding things like medical massage and sports massage and deep tissue massage and things like that are becoming much more popular again. So maybe enough on that bit. And then the other bit for wellness is everybody starts talking medical. And I don't think they understand the implications of medical. So if you're going to be doing any kind of blood work or infusions or very aggressive skin clinic, we call it skin clinic, we do add them sometimes to our resorts where we're using maybe a visiting doctor. Anything invasive, anything like that, you're talking about a completely different market. We tend to find celebrity doctors, again, take this with a pinch of salt, aren't particularly reliable. I mean, you could ask yourself, why is a good doctor, a really good doctor who's into curing, working in the spa wellness industry? I think you're going to see an increase in all these procedures, but I think they're going to come under a clinical domain. And I sit on the European Commission, which is trying to decide the difference between what is spa, what is salon, what is wellness, and what is medical. So I think you're going to see a lot of regulations coming in, and personally I think that's a good thing, because I don't think spas and salons should be doing the more aggressive medical procedures, and even the aggressive skincare procedures I don't think should be in the hands of therapists. Talking about millennials, I think we have to be very careful talking about millennials in our industry. In America, you have the mass affluent millennials who are earning 6 figures and more, and certainly that is a very different market. When we look at the European market, or we look at the Chinese and the Asian markets with millennials, they don't usually have that disposable income that the American market has. Having said that, we've got to be ready for them, and their needs are very different, and I think we all need to understand and recognize and start looking to the future with the millennials. Somebody said to me today, and this is probably, Sharon probably knows more about this than me, we need an Uber of spa. We already have it in the US, and I really don't like it. I would say that, wouldn't I? But I think the risk element of Uber spa, if you like, and bringing therapists into the home and that sort of thing is very risky. But that's certainly what the millennials are looking for. And if you look at Zeal or Massage Envy or any of those brands in the US, they're very much targeted to the millennials. The majority of massages in the home are requested after 8 o'clock in the evening, so very interesting. I think that's enough from me to start with.
How can we stop a legend that after 600 spas?
600 spas in 60 countries and about 30 under development. And a lot of wellness destinations under development too. So.
How many times we had the opportunity to have somebody like this on stage and I'm going to stop it? I don't think so. So I can be here all day. I feel good like if I had a massage. Amazing. Having said that, I want to build upon something you said, very important. And we need a new breed of spa. Sharon, where were we in the region and where are we now and what is the tourist looking for?
I think it's kind of interesting if we go back kind of 15 years and we look at what we were offering in this region, wasn't an awful lot. The number of operators that we had here was really a small handful, and they were pretty much located in one central stretch of Dubai. And if we talk about outside of the UAE, there wasn't an awful lot at all. And at that time, it was the attitude of build it and they'll come. And people didn't really worry about where were their clients going to come from, because there's many more out there, we don't have to worry. Fast forward, as we started to develop here and we started to go into bigger, bolder spas and a lot of investment, because everybody's got lots of money in the Middle East, why not? And nobody really, I guess, worried about, are we going to make a return on investment? And then things started to move in a different direction, because again, the Middle East, Africa, to a degree, sits on the tail end of any new direction within the industry. So suddenly medical became the big buzzword in the MEA region, and we started to hear talk about we're opening medical spas. Oh, really? Oh, wow, how's that going to work here? And it didn't work here. Then came the recession, and everything changed. So suddenly, where previously we'd had very segmented market, we had very clear luxury markets, mid-markets, and everybody had their little pocket of clients, suddenly that changed where we were all fighting for the same clients. So I think hotels, spas had to really rethink what they were doing, how they were going to bring the clients in and how they were going to drive their revenues. We've gone forward and we have obviously so many new spas within the region, and if we talk about different benchmarking and statistics, Intelligent Spas at the end of 2015 did a survey of all the different markets, and just to give a snapshot, in Dubai alone, there were 52 international hotel operators running spas. And that's just Dubai, and you start talking of all of the different Emirates, and then you go out into the GCC countries. And I think where we are at today is that developers and owners are asking a lot of questions about why are we doing this? Space is premium, the cost of fitting out, and particularly depending on what we want to put into the spas. I think we're at a place now where we are questioning what do we want to do as spas. If we talk about resorts and we talk about urban locations, maybe we really have to have a very different focus on those two types of location. What are our guests looking for? Well, before 15 years ago, they would pay the premium price for a luxury experience. They were very happy to go into a hotel, get the nice welcome experience, get the rituals, and get the relaxation. People have then realized I actually have other alternatives. I can do things differently. So the consumer has become a lot more savvy about what they want, what is available. They travel much more readily now. They're exposed to different markets. And talking about wellness, which, again, like Susan said, the words seem to get bandied around and we go around in circles. But wellness really is what is sticking, and well-being is what's sticking right now. So this is what everybody's focused on, and we start going outside of hotels and spas and properties, and we look at the consumer. People are living for longer. People don't necessarily want to take medications, go to the doctor. So they're trying to find alternative ways of living a healthier life and finding alternatives to those problems that they may be experiencing. So I think it is crucial that we as operators now start to be more aligned with what our clients are looking for, what is happening around the world, and really look at what we're building and how much we're investing into what we're building. One of the things I've been discussing recently with people is, we talk about spa, and we all have a preconceived idea of what spa is. But again, it's that tried and tested. Maybe we need to start changing our thinking process. And I think spas, as we've seen them traditionally, will change quite dramatically. And I think, looking at the urban model via the resort model and talking about destination and wellness resorts, there will be a lot of changes in the way we perceive and the way our guests want to experience facilities.
Panos, you had, the overall picture, and you own and manage quite a portfolio of assets. The question that we often get asked by clients as a consultant is, do spa make money?
Well, with no doubt, Filippo, the spa industry in the region has seen and will keep seeing significant growth, considering, of course, that more and more travelers incorporate well-being or wellness in their lifestyle. Inside of such market dynamics, investing in the spa industry, either in standalone or spas located within hotels, is quite attractive. Spas in hotels, though, may generate higher returns. This is due to economies of scale, profit optimization or cost optimization also, and certainly managing resources more efficiently. So indeed we can see profitability in such scenario, yet we can consider as well spa facilities or assets as anchor investments that could generate income or profitability to the overall property. So we can see it in a universal manner. Now, although the spa industry and its growth seems quite attractive and positive, we believe that selecting the right operator makes a difference in terms of brand equity, in terms of services, and in terms of retail as well. Now, on this occasion, I would like to share a live example. Our flagship, the Alpha Izalia Hotel, a year ago, or a year and a half ago, launched the Alpha Izalia Spa by ESPA. Over the last couple of years, we are enjoying significant returns. We find the performance of the asset quite profitable. And in addition to that, I'm very privileged to highlight or reiterate the fact as well that investing or developing spas in the kingdom not only supports our profitability, but elevated the spa industry standards in the kingdom. So certainly developing spas is an integral part of our investment strategy and expansion plan. In addition, I would like to highlight as well that a month ago, and inside of what I just said, we have signed an exclusive agreement for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia with ESPA, suggesting additional spa facilities around our incorporated in our portfolio across the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and certainly abroad in the GCC, where we plan to develop some more hotels.
Building upon two keywords you've used, which tied in quite well with a scenario that I want to present, because this is very important, to highlight how spa, our wellness can add value, real monetary value, not just intrinsic value. Is one, selecting the right operator, so branding, and the second is an anchor for the whole development, to attract more, investment. And this is, so I'm a firm believer that, or can a spa in 2006 onwards add as much value as a hotel brand did when they introduced the branded resident concept into condo business model residential. What's your thoughts about that? Can we see this?
Well, we are doing it. So here's what I think. I think the spa markets had exponential growth. Well, let's talk generically first. And to your point, I still think a lot of spas don't make money. And I have a bit of a bugbear, Sharon I'm sure understands, and I know she will too, that there's masses of consultants in our industry who shouldn't be consultants. So we're, as an industry, about to try and introduce some standards for that, because it seems to be that every spa director that leaves a spa then becomes a spa consultant, and with all due respect to them all, they have no spatial awareness, they have no, they don't really know how to generate a budget, they don't understand EBITDA, they don't understand ROI. They're great spa directors, but when it comes to being a consultant, that's a whole different ballgame. So I think the size of things we're building is very relevant, and I think a lot of people have been overbuilding, especially in this region, and the cost per square meter is much higher than people think. But to your point of residential, it's a bit fraught with problems, and I'm doing a few at the moment, and what the owners obviously want is they want the brand to sell the condos or the villas. But then you have to think about what happens later. So we can make money by designing a spa for a very exclusive residential property that's not open to the public, but the only way we can do that is if there's a service charge or a charge of some sort to quantify managing that and the day-to-day running costs. Now, what very often happens is the developer is willing to pay that because he's willing to pay a premium for the brand because he knows he's going to get 15% more on his condos or his villas. But when 2-3 years later, that developer passes over to a management company or the owner management company, they don't necessarily want to pay those costs. So we have to find a formula that works, and we have to be very careful about that. And at the moment, I'm doing one in Fisher Island, which is probably the highest real estate in the US, where they're starting at $15 million a unit. And we've had to find a formula because the owner and the people who are buying those condos want the best brand. They want standards that they can be guaranteed. And so what we've had to do is we've had to formulate a contract that is initially with the developer, but then later is with the hospitality company. But then obviously there's a premium to that. There's a service premium to that. You can't have something for nothing. Mixed use is easy because mixed use people don't usually mind the public coming in. The other way to do it is to agree a membership, so that an external membership can be very exclusive, but there has to be a commercial win somehow. But brand definitely sells condos in the same way that hotel brands sell residences. So is that the answer to your question?
Amen. It's a fantastic answer.
But the biggest problem at the moment, I think, here is that we've got the problem of separation in most certainly in Saudi and Qatar and Abu Dhabi still. Dubai flexing maybe a little bit, but not a lot. So therefore, you're doubling your space automatically. The gym side, the exercise side is becoming more important. So I think the size of a spa is very relevant to return on investment, whether you're doing it with a hotel or a resort. I totally agree with Sharon that city's different to resort. The needs, you can make money in city by having beauty services and hair services and all the salon services and quick treatments, which aren't necessarily relevant to resorts. There's all sorts of ways of doing it. But I think now in this region, everybody's really looking at profitability properly. Mm-hmm. And I think they've been bitten because there's been so much bad advice. And we've had to take up some projects recently that are half built and are so incorrect that it's not even true. And they might be 3, 4, 5 square meters, 1,000 square meters. That's a huge cost, huge budget cost.
So we need to find the balance, even in the design and
Absolutely.
operation.
And you have to think of the commercial equation when you're designing. And I think not enough people think about who is the consumer before they start designing. So before you start design, there's no good doing market research. Everybody says we need market research. You don't need market research because the market's moving so fast, your research will be out of date.
Putting us out of business.
No, we need other things from you. We need other things from you, but we don't need market research. I think in an industry that's moving so fast, you can do competitor analysis. That's completely different. But market research doesn't give you the true picture of where things are going.
Any questions? I'm sure there's plenty of people who want to pick Sue, Sharon, and Panos' brain. Please. Please. Can we have a microphone in here? Oh, our lovely Jennifer.
So good.
Yes, my name is Samir from Saudi Arabia. I would like to ask you about the percentage-wise, the income from spa. Like the gentleman just mentioned a while ago that he's building the biggest one in Saudi Arabia, Khozama,
Well,
in Riyadh.
we have already in operation
Already
the biggest
under
ladies
operation.
spa.
So is it possible that you give us, like for example, percentage? Like for example, we have the income for the hotel 70% and the food and beverage 30%. In terms of spa, what is the percentage?
It's quite profitable. I can give you an average market benchmark, maybe after this panel. Panel discussion. However, it is profitable in essence. We are expanding our portfolio drastically in the spa segment. But again, profitability and internal rate of return depends on construction cost also. So, like you mentioned, the size of the spa,
Yes.
the fit out is a very, very important matter that we have to consider when we're developing such assets.
Okay.
I think also to your point, you have to be really careful about whether you've got day spa market and members as well. If you really want profitability, you can make profitability if you have the right people driving it. Capture rates from hotels also vary enormously according to in-house marketing, and some hotel groups are much better at it than others. So somebody said to me this morning, you often don't see anything in the hotel about the spa, and often that's because the owner or the hotel operator doesn't want it. If you market it properly, your website is good, you have local business, you have members, and you really look at the mix and they don't clash with each other, then profitability can be equal to F&B. And also don't forget that spas can drive your ADR, they can drive your double occupancy, and they can drive your length of stay. In our five-star hotels globally, our spa guests are the ones who stay longest, have the highest exit bills. So it's the top end.
Thank you.
There's a gentleman over there.
In the same line, if I make analysis for the people who are visiting the spas, is it in-house and walk-ins? I mean, percentage-wise, what is more, in-house or walk-ins? This is first.
It depends where you are. City centre, we find, and Sharon will have, we find it's 50-50 city centre. If you drive the business properly, 50% is hotel guests, 50% is local.
Okay, if the spa is attached to a mall, what is the healthy ratio?
I don't do mall spas. I think they're very hard to make profitable.
No, it is inside a hotel, but the hotel is attached to a mall.
I think, we don't have any that are in that situation, but I think one of the things you have to be very careful in a mall, you will definitely find a whole array of different salons which will offer a multitude of different treatments. So again, depending on what your hotel is it a 4-star, is it a 5-star, is it a luxury mid-market, what is actually happening in the mall, because people that are going through the mall want something that's quick and accessible while they're in the mall. Are they actually going to step foot into your hotel to use your facility? So I think that's something that you would definitely need to keep into consideration and think about.
And there was one more gentleman over here. Wait.
Richard Lewis, Landmark Hotels. A question for the panel, in particular, if I may, to Susan. With regards to spas, we know that all spas are not built and operated equally. So if you look at what Forbes Travel Guide is doing with regards to quality assurance assessments and focusing 70% on service, not on product, do you think that's the way forward for the upper end of the market?
I've always thought that, and we got 6 of the top awards in Forbes, just to do a plug there. I've always thought that, but if the physical experience doesn't flow and the privacy issues aren't addressed and the mechanical and electrical temperature control, so that it has to be ambient, it has to smell good and all of those things, but I know the most simple spas in the world where the service is outstanding, and therapist training, staff training, quality of product, all those things to me are what the consumer really, really wants, and that is definitely where we need to focus. We train 3 million therapists a year globally in all cultures to take them from average to super therapists. And you can tell it's what the consumer wants, it's where you get your return guests from. I think you have to have a good physical product nowadays. The expectation is high. But you know what? I still have a therapist come to my house because it's my industry and I don't want to go to spas because everyone knows me. And so you're back to that therapist, you're back to those hands, you're back to the spirit. The other thing I say about spas, I have to be hugely commercial these days. But if you lose the soul of spas and you lose the soul of the people, you can't just have a numbers game. It isn't just a numbers game. And the numbers will come if you keep the quality of those people, the empathy of how you recruit them. It's a completely different ball game to the rest of the hospitality industry. And we must engender that. And in these times where we must also be very commercial and we have to look at the economy, we mustn't lose the essence of spa, else it will die. Because, you know, it is about people, it's about emotions, it's about spirit, it's about physical, all those things. Sorry, I don't know where you are, Richard.
Behind you.
Hope that answered your question.
Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we run out of time. We are over time. And, but all the panelists are available for further questions on a one-to-one basis. To conclude in a very good American fashion and very much related to wellness, until next time, take care of yourself and each other. Thank you very much.
Sleep well.
Sleep well.